What is up, everybody? It's Sweat here, and we are talking NFL Pick'ems Week 5. Let's just recap what happened last week. I went 11-5, which is much better than the past couple of weeks. I started off Week 2 8-8, Week 3 was 7-9, and I went 11-5 this week. So let's just get right into it. The Thursday night game, Giants and Cowboys. Cowboys were able to hang on. The Giants just couldn't get into the end zone. Too many field goals, not enough touchdowns. It was a pretty good game, but unfortunately for Cowboys fans, Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence did get hurt. So moving forward, I don't know what's going to happen with their defense, but they're going to have to figure something out. Moving on to the Sunday game, Steelers at Colts. Steelers blew it. I really thought they were going to pull away once Anthony Richardson went out of the game with a hip injury. But who would have known? Joe Flacco in his 40th season got it done. Unfortunately for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor also got hurt. But their defense stepped up, caused a couple of turnovers, and they were able to get it done. Steelers ended up getting their first loss of the season. On to the Vikings and Packers. Vikings dominated the first half and blew it the second half. Luckily, they were able to hang on at the end. They still remain undefeated, and I think the Packers are going to be just fine. Jordan Love is back. I thought he got hurt on one of the plays where he got, I think it was a sack, or it just didn't look good, and I thought, oh man, he re-injured his injury. But I'm pretty sure he'll be fine, and they'll be fine moving forward. On to the Jaguars and Texans. The Texans were able to hold on. The Jaguars had a chance late in the game. I think they had a 4th and goal at the 1, and they didn't get it in. And then the Texans drove it down and ended up getting the game-winning touchdown. So Jaguars are still winless. Texans are 3-1, ahead of the top of their division. And I don't know what's going to happen with the Jaguars, but they need to figure something out ASAP. As far as the Saints and Falcons go, I really thought the Saints were going to pull it out with that last second touchdown. I think there was a minute left, but the Falcons drove down and ended up getting the game-winning field goal. So that's good for them. They tightened up that division. I think they're in second place now. So there's going to be a huge game between them and the Bucs coming up on Thursday night. So we'll see what happens. On to the Rams at Bears. The Rams couldn't get it done. Their injuries finally caught up to them, and the Bears defense is just too good, but they're still struggling on offense. So hopefully the Bears can continue figuring it out with Caleb Williams, and they can get better as the season goes on. On to the Eagles and Bucks. The Eagles were just outmanned. They didn't have A.J. Brown. They didn't have Devontae Smith. So I just thought it was going to be a blowout, and the Bucks ended up winning by, I think, 3 scores. So on to the Bengals and Panthers. I really thought the Panthers were going to pull it out in the second half, but they let it slip away, and the Bengals were able to get their first win. On to the Broncos and Jets. I picked the Jets, but I'll take the Broncos win just because the Jets are in my division. It was not looking good for the Broncos and Bo Nix to start the game. I think it was the first half. He had negative yards passing. It was insane. But then I switched over and saw that the game, it was raining heavily over there, and you just knew it was going to be a low-scoring game. But I really thought the Jets were going to pull it out at the end, and they ended up missing a 50-yard field goal. So I'm happy about that. On to Washington and the Cardinals. Washington is looking nice right now. Jaden Daniels looks like he's having a lot of fun. Terry McLaurin looks like he's regained his confidence with this new quarterback. Brian Robinson is doing his thing. And they did all this with Austin Eckler out. So they're just going to get even better when he comes back. And I think they're going to have a real chance to win their division this year. On to the Niners and Patriots. Patriots are just not a good team right now. Niners got their weapons back, and there's really not much to say. The Niners just blew them out. Moving on to the Chiefs and Chargers. I really thought the Chargers were going to be able to pull it out there in the second half, but they just let it slip away. Too many injuries. The Chiefs defense stepped up. And unfortunately for the Chiefs, Rashee Rice might be out for the season. So Devontae Adams just went on the trade market. So maybe they'll trade for him or go get another receiver. Or maybe they just might stick with what they have. You never know. On to the Raiders and Browns. Another ugly game. The Raiders were able to pull it out. I don't know what's going to happen with their team. Gardner Minshew's not looking too good. Are they going to switch over to Aiden O'Connell? Devontae Adams looks like he's going to get traded in the next, few weeks or sooner than that. The Raiders running back situation, Zamir White is not playing up to what we thought he would be. So keep an eye on Alexander Mattison taking over that starting role. Moving on to the Sunday night game, Bills at Ravens. We got killed. I really thought by getting the ball first to start the game, we had to go down, score a touchdown, put pressure on them, and take their crowd away. Well, we were pretty aggressive to start it off. We went for it on 4th and 1 at, I believe it was our own 45-yard line or so. We got it. And then the next set of downs, we had 4th and 2, and we decided to punt it. I didn't agree with that situation or with that play call. And we all saw what happened on the Ravens' first play of the game. Derrick Henry, 87 yards, and they never looked back. So I just hope we can figure out what's going on moving forward. It was just a bad day for our whole team, not necessarily individuals. I'm not going to sit here and point fingers, but we couldn't block, we couldn't catch, we couldn't play defense. It was just a bad game. This is one of the games where you just need to throw the tape away and move forward. But not to take away nothing from the Ravens. They came out with a good game plan. They dominated us, punched us in the mouth, all 3 phases of the game, and never looked back. Moving on to the Monday night games, Titans at Dolphins. Both teams are not very good right now. Will Levis got hurt in the first quarter. Then they put in Mason Rudolph, gave the team a little spark, and they pulled away in the second half. Miami is just not a good team right now. Their offense is really hurting their defense, and they just can't keep up with teams right now. From what I saw earlier, Tua's supposed to be back week 8. Maybe he'll revive their team again, but I just hope he's not making the wrong choice and coming back too early. And the last game, Seahawks at Lions. That was an exciting game. Jared Goff, perfect, 18 for 18, almost 300 yards. Nice trick play from St. Brown to Goff, who caught the TD. Seattle's going to be all right. Geno Smith is looking good right now. They just had a couple of costly turnovers. That DK Metcalf fumble. Geno threw a pick at the end, but I think Seattle's going to be okay. And the Lions are looking good right now. So overall, the 5 games that I missed were the Steelers, Saints, Rams, Jets, and Bills. I went 11-5, which is much better than my previous 2 weeks. Hopefully I can keep that up and maybe do better next week. As far as that goes, let me give you my week 5 picks. First off, we got the Buccaneers at Falcons. I'm going to take the Falcons. I think they're starting to get things together over there on the offensive side with Kirk Cousins. Tampa Bay's looking good right now, but they are playing in Atlanta, so I'm going to give the edge to the home team. I think it's going to be another close game, just like the Saints and Falcons was, but another divisional game, huge for both of them. On to the London game, Vikings and Jets. I'm going to take the Vikings. Their defense was solid again. Yeah, they slipped up in the second half and almost let the Packers come back, but they held on for the win. The Jets offense is just not what we thought it was going to be right now. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they need better play calling. They have weapons. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers is still, throwing the ball. I'm not too sure what's going on with their offense, so I know they still have a really good defense, but I'm going to take the Vikings in this one. Moving on to the crap game of the week, Dolphins at Patriots. I'm simply taking the Patriots because they're at home and I think they're a little bit better. As far as Miami goes, this is what your season's going to look like until Tua comes back. I believe they said he's coming back week 8, so maybe he'll save your season. We're going to have to wait and see. Next up, Panthers at Bears. Panthers have put up a good fight these last couple of weeks, but I just think the Bears are slowly starting to get it together with Caleb Williams and that offense, and their defense has always been good. Plus, they're at home, so I'm going to take the Bears in this one. Moving on to the Colts at Jags. I know Flacco brought the team back this past week against the Steelers, but I'm going to take the Jaguars. They're at home. They got to win a game sometime. They were really close this past week at Houston. I think Ingram's going to come back. Yeah, I know ETN got banged up, but I think he's going to be all right. And the Colts are also without Jonathan Taylor, so I'm going to take the Jags in a close one this week. On to what I think is going to be one of the best games of the week. Ravens at Bengals. Bengals look like they got their offense going now. Ravens have a strong running game. Obviously, I just talked earlier about them killing us on Sunday night. That rivalry has always been really tough. They've always had really good games. I'm going to take the Ravens in a close one. I just think their running game is too much right now. The Bengals defense is struggling a lot, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Next up is Cleveland at Washington. I'm taking Washington. They've looked nice these last couple of weeks. It looks like nobody can stop their offense. The Browns are just a struggling team right now. Even if they get Njoku back, they're just not a very good team right now. Plus, Washington's at home, so I'm going to take Washington. On to what I think is going to be another good game of the week. Bills at Texans. I think our coaching staff is going to get our team prepared better than what we did against the Ravens. But I still think we're going to lose this game. I had Houston beating us in this game before the season started, and I still think they're going to win. I think it's going to be closer than most people think, but I think Houston pulls it out in the end. On to the Raiders at Broncos. I'm going to take the Broncos. They're at home. The Raiders are still struggling a little bit, even though they did win against the Browns. Devontae Adams just asked for a trade, so I don't necessarily know what's going on in that locker, but I'm going to take the Broncos in a close one this week. On to the Cardinals and Niners. I'm taking the Niners. They're at home. I just think the Cardinals are still trying to figure things out on both sides of the ball. They do have potential to make it a close game, but I just think the Niners defense is going to be too much for them. Moving on to the Giants at Seahawks. I'm taking the Seahawks. They're at home. The Giants still figuring things out. Seattle's a good team, even though they lost last night against the Lions, and I think it's going to be a blowout. Moving on to the Packers at Rams. I'm taking the Packers in a blowout. The Rams are just too hurt right now. The Packers got Jordan Love back. He didn't look good in the first half, but the second half, I really thought they were going to come back and win it. But the Packers are going to be just fine with him back in the lineup. Moving on to the Sunday night game, Cowboys at Steelers. The Cowboys defense is hurting right now with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence out of the lineup. I think the Steelers will rely heavily on the running game. I'm going to take the Steelers in this one. They have a really good defense, and I don't think the Cowboys are going to have enough to get it done. Moving on to the Monday night game, Saints at Chiefs. I'm going to take the Saints in this one. I know that they just lost a close game to the Falcons, but the Chiefs have a lot of injuries right now. Rashee Rice's injury might be season ending. Pacheco's still out. Hollywood Brown is out for the regular season. I just think the Saints find a way to get it done and get back on track. That's going to be it for my Week 5 picks. I did want to mention that there's 4 teams on a bye this week. Lions, Eagles, Chargers, and Titans. But let's hope I can do better than last week. I did go 11-5, which is pretty good. But my goal is to get better every week, so we'll see what happens.